Roland, we're delighted to have you here with us, and we're fascinated to hear about your book. But I want to go back to maybe even your childhood and wondering your interest in economics. How far back can you trace that in your personal history?
I don't know. I guess every kid is interested in maximizing their own happiness. So that's one of the first economic principles that you learn. But you know, when I was always interested in human behavior.
What about the inspiration as it relates to reinvesting back into young people and teaching?
Well, that came on the south side of Chicago. I was doing, what economists would consider kind of middle-brow applied theoretical papers, so nothing to do with the real world. Studying things like the optimal cake-eating problem. And I was on the south side of Chicago going to catch a flight from Midway Airport. And it was 10:55 in the morning. And I saw a bunch of guys just hanging out on the street corner that should have been in school. And it hit me. I realized that these guys have no shot. And in fact, they were me 7 years prior. And I had to kind of look at myself in the rearview mirror and say, what the heck have I done in the past 7 years that's going to have any effect on their lives? Right? I was working on mathematical problems that were elegant but irrelevant. And I decided that day, literally, it was basically a spiritual moment. I decided that day, everything I do will be directed to figure out how to make a better life for kids who are in the situation that they're in.
Well, and we have an area here in Atlanta that I've taken note of, and one that has come to my attention, in which only 34% of the high school students graduate from high school. And then the cycle that we know of what happens if they don't graduate from high school, the likelihood of single-parent homes, the likelihood of criminal activity, the likelihood of incarceration, and it's just an incredible cost to society. You know, when we fail to put insist that these students are going to get the education that they need.
And I wish more people knew that, because that is the America we're about to unfold over the next 50 years. 3% of the 8th graders in Detroit can read at grade level.
Wow.
Okay. That is about, from my calculations, about 132 kids. You can fix them all sandwiches with 16 loaves of bread, my man. I mean, it's just, where are we going to get the human capital to drive our economy forward?
Yeah. What responsibilities, Roland, do leaders have across society as it relates to this whole issue of education and financial literacy? What are your thoughts there?
I think we all have a moral responsibility to come together and put our anecdotal stories, our personal histories to the side and do whatever it takes to educate kids of all colors. Because of accidents of birth, children should not be held accountable for getting a bad education. I actually encounter people who think there's such a thing as infant meritocracy. I don't. There are accidents of birth. No kid asked to be born to their particular set of parents or their particular neighborhoods, so we have to educate them. You can call it civil rights, you can call it fairness, you can call it democracy, but it affects us all. And so the leaders have a responsibility to come together and use data and analysis to really push the ball forward towards reform. Not politics, mind you, but data.
You don't think Washington can solve all these problems?
Next question.
Well, we're certainly led to believe that. You know, when we listen to political speeches and campaigns that Washington's the blame for all our problems, Washington's going to be the answer to those. How foolish, for society to believe that is anywhere near the case.
Yeah, my basic view of this is, until they can figure out the pot roads, we better leave the education to some other leaders.
Well, I appreciate what you said. This is a moral issue.
It is.
This is a moral crisis, not just a financial crisis. It's not a literacy crisis. This is a moral crisis. So we want to thank you for being such a great example of that, and thank you for sharing this conversation time together.
Sure, thank you.